How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Bitcoin is racing up. We're back in the $90,000 range, and while the traditional market is doing fairly well, Bitcoin is outperforming just about everything over the last week and a half. I want to show you why this is happening, why I've been quite bullish on Bitcoin even as we've been falling down. I have not lost faith, and why you want to be in on this trade or on this multi-year move. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Someone went out and bought $400 million worth of Bitcoin yesterday, and it's not MicroStrategy. So stay through later in the video. Don't skip around because you're going to miss it then. If you do want to trade crypto, this is something that I like to do. This is what I do with the higher risk portion of my portfolio. You can trade underneath the video on Blowfin or WEEX, BTCC, BitUniX, CoinW. A lot of them have like this 10% bonus. For example, on BTCC, lower trading fees. You don't need a VPN or KYC, so you don't have to give out your personal information. You just sign up with an email, a password, check their terms and conditions, and you can start trading. So check these out underneath the video. Like I said, a lot of them have bonuses right now. I would just try a platform, see what you like, and then maybe try a couple different platforms. But as we can see, Bitcoin is breaking out. Super simplified line there, but you can see we got rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then broke out above the last 2 days. Massive candles, very strong candles, and there's a reason for that. But let's just look at some key levels that we've broken out of. So I showed you this kind of downtrend line. We also are well above the 50-day EMA, well above the 200-day, the SMA. So the death cross marked the bottom within a day. We death crossed around April 6. April 7 was the bottom around 74,300. Bottomed right at the previous resistance, which is something that we had talked about on the channel. We had said that as long as we bounce here, we're probably going to move back up pretty aggressively. And what do you know? We bounced right here. And so far we've made a 20% move? 22% move. So death cross marking the bottom. Again, we broke out above this previous support level. This has been where we've been rejected a couple times. We're around 88,000 to 89,000. And yeah, we're up at almost 91. Now, if we fall back down, I would not take that as a negative thing. I think this kind of retest coming back down to 89,000 or 90,000 could actually be bullish. If we flip that prior resistance back into support, we could see another big move. Now, traditional markets are also up today. The Nasdaq's up a little bit over 2%. Maybe part of that has to do with U.S. Saying that India has finalized terms of a trade deal, so maybe some macro clearing up a little bit, some macro optimism. But within crypto, keep in mind, Bitcoin's severely outperformed the markets. Actually, if we look since April 10, Bitcoin's up 11.5%, while the S&P 500 is down 2%. So it's outperformed by 13% within less than 2 weeks. So why is that? Well, first of all, I think there's so many positive things that are still happening in the background. For example, pro-Bitcoin and crypto Paul Atkins officially sworn in as the new SEC chair. So yeah, that's extremely bullish. Obviously, the SEC is turning much more pro-crypto, not going after crypto companies, which allows them, super simply, if the SEC isn't going after crypto companies and suing them, it allows them to reinvest more of their capital, right? So they can reinvest in their business or go out and literally buy crypto. There are tons of crypto companies that go buy crypto. And even if that's not the case, even if they're just returning that to shareholders or to owners of the company, it shows other investors that there's money to be made within crypto and allows them to want to invest in crypto as well. So more money is flowing into crypto. It's not separated from traditional finance like it used to be. And we showed that yesterday. There are crypto companies that are trying to get bank licenses and banks that are trying to get into crypto as well. So there's this flow of money that has not been there quite in the past. And maybe it was back in 2021, there's some flow of money, but not like it is now where massive banks are getting into crypto. Banks aren't the only ones that are getting into crypto either. Take a look at this. Trump Media officially finalizes partnership with Crypto.com to launch ETF. So one of Trump's companies, one of the president's companies, is working with a crypto exchange to launch crypto ETFs. How crazy is that? Like, if I told you that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there's no way that you would believe me. So just a massive change from a macro perspective. All this is good news, but doesn't necessarily change Bitcoin's price. There's something that's directly influencing it, though. Someone just bought $400 million worth. And again, it's not MicroStrategy. We also have some interesting things happening with money supply, but first I want to thank DeriW. Now, before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to DeriW. So this has been really cool. I really like this platform. This is backed by CoinW, which is exchange I already work with. It's an 8-year-old exchange with 0 security incidents. And it's giving DeriW instant credibility and trust in the DeFi space. There's 0 gas fees. So unlike most DEXs, they're able to use this layer 3 technology to eliminate gas fees entirely, saving traders money on every single transaction. You can go up to 100x leverage when you start trading. So obviously you can make a lot of money if you're an experienced trader. It's user-friendly. It's a very intuitive interface, and it's easy to onboard. It connects with multiple wallets like MetaMask, OKX, Trust Wallet, etc., and offers $10,000 in test tokens to start trading immediately. So if you do want to try this out, there is a link to it underneath the video. Of course, approach at your own risk. Make sure you understand what you're doing when you are trading. They also have a decentralized referral program. So if you do use this and then you want to refer someone else to it, you can do that pretty easily. Now, DeriW also has the Supernova event going on right now. By participating in trades, you can earn up to 6,600 DER points, which are convertible over to the DER or DER tokens once the mainnet goes live. So definitely check this out underneath the video. There's also a link to the Telegram group in case you want to check that out as well. Thank you so much, and big shout out to DeriW for being a partner of the channel and CoinW. And let's get back into the video. So Japan's money supply is running. You can see Japan's liquidity going up pretty aggressively. Now, one thing I don't like that happens a lot on Twitter, there's no x-axis. So I didn't look this up myself, but you can see Japan's liquidity is going up. What I like to see too is global liquidity. Same thing. Global liquidity spiking up as well. Bitcoin is typically a bit delayed. So another thing, like the x-axis isn't shown and the y-axis isn't shown on this chart for the M2 money supply, but I have seen other charts. M2 is spiking largely from China, but also from other countries as well. And Bitcoin's usually a little bit delayed, but you can see a path. You could see a path for Bitcoin getting well above $100,000 again, which is why I have this $100,000 hat on. And we know that there are big companies buying Bitcoin like MicroStrategy, 6,556. When we see Bitcoin go up in price, that allows them to buy even more Bitcoin. Like, it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but MSTR's ability to buy Bitcoin actually goes up significantly when the price of Bitcoin goes up. So you would think that they could buy less Bitcoin when Bitcoin's price goes up, but there's so much more speculation. There's so much more arbitrage opportunity for MicroStrategy that they can actually go out and buy more. So when Bitcoin shows strength, they're able to put even more buying pressure on Bitcoin, which is kind of interesting. Now, they bought a significant amount, like I said, 558 million last week, but the ETFs actually bought about 400 million just yesterday. GBTC had 37 million in inflows. Grayscale Mini had 33 million. ARKB had 116. EasyBC with 10 million. BITB with 45 million. HODL with 12 million. FBTC with 88. And IBIT with 42. What's so interesting to me is this is on a day where we had a pretty rough day in the traditional markets. The NASDAQ was down 3% or more than 3%. VOO was down 3%. And yet the Bitcoin ETF still had significant inflows. Do they know something that we don't? Let me know down below in the comment section. It surprised me so much when I saw this coming out. It's significant. And as I said, Bitcoin continues to outperform. It's up 11.3% versus VOO's 2.1%. Let's look at gold today. Gold coming down slightly from when it opened at almost 3,500. It actually did break 3,500 today. Still up 0.6% on the day, so not too bad by any means. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Of course, Bitcoin dominance continues to move up 64.5%. Yeah, hopefully you're heavy into Bitcoin versus alts at this point. Of course, alts can still run, but they're not running as hard as Bitcoin at this point. I'm still extremely bullish on Bitcoin for the rest of the year. I think there are a lot of good things happening. First of all, good things happening for Bitcoin. The money supply is going up. So money supply going up allows people to risk or to go more risk on, to invest in new technologies like Bitcoin or growing adoption technologies, riskier assets. At least that's what a lot of people consider a risky asset, Bitcoin. We also have the most pro-crypto president that you could possibly imagine. He has probably 10 different companies that have exposure to crypto that could make tens of millions, if not hundreds or billions of dollars a year if they're run correctly and if everything goes well in crypto. So I think that we're in a very good spot to get more crypto adoption, more regulation that's passed that's very pro-crypto. We also know that tariffs, like that is the main concern right now. That could change on a dime. Like that can change within, one tweet? Like the fact is that the concern about that can change very quickly. And we can go very risk on, as we saw a couple weeks ago when the ETFs or the indices were up 12% in a day. The fact is, if that happens and someone's out there buying Bitcoin significantly and people aren't concerned about tariffs anymore, people aren't concerned about recession, that also means that we're probably going to see rate cuts, because that's the Fed's biggest concern are the tariffs as well, that will cause inflation. So if the Fed's not concerned, they're going to start cutting rates as well, which just puts like gasoline on the fire. So we could see a ton of liquidations, a huge move upward. And yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we could be back at all-time highs within a couple tweets. Honestly, like it sounds crazy, but it's true. Within a couple tweets or a couple days or a couple weeks, we could see massive moves. We can see God candles where day after day, it seems like there's nothing but up. I mean, take a look back here. We went from 67,000 all the way up to 89,000. And that was within, 9 days? 9 days, we went up 40%. So if we do the same thing from where we recently were, 9 days, we're talking about, just a few days from now having to wait. And that would put us well at new all-time highs. That would put us at 116,000. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. But I'm just saying that's possible. You don't want to be like totally out of the market, in my opinion, because macro can still look bad and the market starts booming again. Of course, we could get rejected around here. We could break back through these prior resistance levels and break back down to the downside. But we sent some higher highs. We broke through a lot of resistance. We broke through the SMAs, the EMAs that we've been fighting against. We've broken through this $90,000 level, which is all really positive. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. I really appreciate it. Again, you can check out DeriW. You can check out these platforms underneath in case you want to start leverage trading. I have been doing this as we've fallen down, and we have some great buys. So if you want to do this as well, it's not rocket science. Like you can just use low leverage. That's something that I've done. 3x on a lot of positions. I got more aggressive on this one because we were so low at the time. We were at 55,000, so I got more aggressive. But you can go something like 2x, 3x, 4x, and you have a lot of padding. Even if you did a 3x position on Bitcoin right now, you wouldn't be liquidated until 60,000, and then you could always add extra margin if need be to reduce your liquidation point. So we weren't even close to 60,000. We were halfway there. So if you wanted 3x, if you're bullish, you can go long the market and then play the long game with leverage. That's what I do, right? Low leverage for long periods of time to be able to take advantage of the massive moves to the upside without risking more than I want, right? Because it's very rare that we're going to see, a 33% pullback on Bitcoin after it's already pulled back. I wait until we've had some red to open these positions, until we're down a decent amount, so it gives me even more padding. Of course, in a bear market, we are going to see those moves, but I don't think we're in a bear market yet. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next video. Of course, approach at your own risk. Make sure you're comfortable. You can lose everything that you have when you're leverage trading, or at least you can lose everything that's in the leverage trade. So make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one.